first one, like we'll start from the basics. Okay, then we'll move to advanced level. We have already seen this, but we'll start to get an initial momentum from this. So types of goods, free goods. We all know that actually the air we breathe is a free good. We are not paying for it. Then capital goods. Capital goods are actually finished goods. So there is no further processing needed. For example, a machinery. For example, a dialysis machine. Okay, it does not need any further processing, so it is known as a capital good. So when you are getting some option and you were asked to identify whether some good is a consumer good or capital good, you just see whether it is a a thing that is having a finished appearance, or a thing which is used to produce some other good. Okay, a capital good which will be a kind of an asset which can be used to produce further things. So that's a capital good. So capital good is a finished good because it does not require any further processing. But it is not only because it does not require further processing we call it a capital good. We call it a capital good because this may be a base for creating some other consumer goods or any other goods. So, and for capital goods, actually the thing is that it will have this wear and tear and depreciation. So it requires continuous maintenance. So when you are asked to identify a capital good from an option, just see whether it is liable for some maintenance or wear and tear, or it can be used to produce some further goods. So that's about capital goods. Then about consumer goods. Consumer goods are the things that we are using on our like day-to-day life. Capital goods we may not be using on our day-to-day life. For example, a dialysis machine is required only for a person who is like having some problem with the kidney or something like that. So the other goods like television, vegetables, fruits, etc. that we use on our daily lives, these are called consumer goods. In this consumer goods, there are two divisions: durable and non-durable. Durable goods, for example, fridge or television. Okay, these are durable goods. It is having a long life and we won't be purchasing it very often. Okay, if we are purchasing a television, we may be using it for say 10 years. Okay, so these goods are called durable goods. Then there is a classification called non-durable goods. Non-durable goods means like the vegetable or food items that we use, it will perish. It is non-durable. Okay, it's not having that much shelf life. So these goods are called non-durable goods. So this is consumer durable goods and consumer non-durable goods. You can see for yourself when you get the slide. Then inferior goods. For example, when you are asked to find out the inferior good from this list of options, just see that if your income increases, whether you will be like purchasing that thing or not. For example, a person who is having a basic income, a basic daily wage of say 100 rupees will be purchasing a low quality rice. Okay, we know that actually even in rices we have hundreds of varieties. Okay, so a person when his income rises to 1000 rupees per day daily wage, he won't be purchasing that low quality rice. He'll be purchasing a more quality rice. So those goods whose demand decreases when the income of the person increases, these goods are called inferior goods. Okay, then like there is a feature of the inferior good, that is the negative elasticity of demand. What is elasticity of demand? When the demand for a particular good increases or decreases according to some economic variable changes. For example, the price of a particular good increased. What will happen to its demand? If it will increase or decrease, that thing is known as elasticity of demand. In case of a like inferior good, if the income of the person increases, he won't be purchasing that. Okay, so it is having negative elasticity of demand. So when the income of the person increase, the demand for that particular good decrease. This is known as negative elasticity of demand. And for a person whose income increases and the demand for a particular good increases, means that particular good is having positive elasticity of demand. For example, a branded watch or a smart watch or a latest version of an iPhone. Okay, as the income of the person increases, he won't be buying local Samsung phone or a low variant phone. He will be purchasing that like upper variant model. So that good is having a positive elasticity of demand. So when the demand for a particular good increases or decreases according to some changes in some economic variables like price of that product, income of that person, etc., that process is known as that technical term is known as elasticity of demand. So that's about inferior good. Then yeah, demand is considered inelastic if demand for a good or service remains unchanged even when the price changes. For example, tobacco or alcohol. Okay, for a person who is addicted in chewing tobacco, whether the price of tobacco increases or decreases, he'll continue to purchase the same thing. Okay, if he doesn't have the money, he'll borrow from somebody else and he'll be purchasing the same product. Okay, so such kind of goods whose demand remain unchanged, okay, that even if the prices rises or something like that, whatever be the change, its demand remains constant. Such goods are called inelastic good. So that's about elastic and inelastic. Elastic goods I have already explained. Elastic goods include luxury items and certain food and beverages, like as changes in the prices affects the demand. Okay, for example, a luxury good, for example, basmati rice. Okay, a person who was having a daily wage of say 500 rupees, he used to consume this basmati rice for his daily rice requirements. Suddenly, due to some lockdown or something, he lost his job and he is now getting a salary of just 100 rupees per day. So he won't be purchasing that basmati rice. Now it became a luxury for him. Okay, so these are elastic goods whose demands changed. Then a luxury good is one which an increase in income causes a greater percentage of increase in demand. For example, a diamond or smartwatch. I have already explained. If the income of the person increases, the demand for that particular good increases. These are called luxury goods. Is my speed okay? Fine. Because these are basic things, that's why we are moving fast. Then complementary goods and substitute goods. For example, a DVD player. A DVD player is having no use without having a television. Okay. So some goods which can be used along with some other good only. So such goods which cannot be used without the presence of another good, those goods are called complementary goods. And then the second category is substitute goods. You feel to drink a soft drink. Okay. You are going to a shop, you are asking for a cola. He's telling that I don't have a cola but I have a Pepsi. You will buy Pepsi. Okay. So such goods are called substitute goods. Then giffen good. We have talked about inferior good. Giffen good is a rare case of inferior good. For example, a person who used to consume bread and jam. Okay. Bread and jam 3 times a day. Okay. He is very much fond of having this bread and jam, and according to his budget or his capacity, he can consume only bread and jam. So suddenly the price of jam got increased. Okay. Now he cannot afford to buy both bread and jam. Okay. So avoiding jam is okay, but avoiding bread is not a choice. Okay. So what he will be doing is that for the price of jam also he will be purchasing bread so that he can consume during the lunch time. He will be buying a packet of bread. Previously he used to purchase 2 slices of bread and a packet of jam. Now if he is purchasing jam, he cannot buy 2 slices of bread for the lunch. Okay. So for the price of jam as well, he will be purchasing more slices of bread. So such goods, it's a rare type of good in which price increase lead to an increase in demand. Okay. So like even that bread is his staple food. Even if the price of that bread increases, he need to purchase that good. Okay. So, but it's an inferior good. He cannot go for some upper variant of foods like say chapati or parota. If it is costly, he cannot go for consuming that. But in his budget, even if 2 or 3 rupees increase in price for a packet of bread, he will consume that particular inferior good. So such inferior good whose price increase like even increases its demand, such good is called giffen good. Okay. Giffen goods are rare forms of inferior good that have no ready substitute or alternative. He does not have any fond for some other rice. Okay. Maybe rice will be less costly than bread, but he does not like rice. He can consume only bread. Okay. He doesn't want to consume rice, maybe due to his health condition and all. He cannot consume rice, so he will be purchasing bread even if its cost increases. So understand that there are 2 categories of good. One is giffen good and one is Veblen or snob good. Okay. Giffen good is a variety of inferior good. Okay. It's not by the word, like when we are in exam hall, we'll feel like, okay, giffen good, maybe some luxury good. No, it's not luxury good. It's a variety of inferior good whose demand increases even if its price increases. Now, the second thing is Veblen or snob good. A good whose price increase encourage people to buy more of it. For example, it's a status symbol, BMW latest version or iPhone latest version, okay, or like new smartwatch of Apple, and the people who are having this brand, they consider this as a status symbol. So even if the price of that particular good increases, people will try to buy more of it. Okay, people won't be purchasing a low variant of watch. If he's having a good social status, he'll be purchasing that particular branded watch itself. So price of a luxury good increased the demand for a particular luxury good increase even if its price increase because it's a status symbol. So such kind of luxury good is known as Veblen or snob good. You should understand one thing, for both giffen good and for both Veblen good, the demand increase when the price increase. Okay, that thing is same. Okay, for both giffen good, even though if it is inferior, its demand increase like when its price increase. Okay, the same thing is with Veblen good. Only difference is that Veblen or snob good is a luxury good. Here also, when the price increase, its demand increase. Okay, but two different reasons for this thing, for this phenomenon. I hope you got this point, right? Now, coming to some other advanced areas like national income aggregates. Okay, so why I have included this topic again is that, like, however we say again and again, people tend to get confused when you are getting some statements in from this area. That's why. What is a GDP? GDP is the final, the final aggregate value of all the goods and services produced in a country. Okay, in a country means in the territorial border of a country. Okay, it can be produced by, it may be produced by the foreign citizens working in India, it may be produced by the Indian citizens working in India. So it's not about whether these people who are producing these goods, they are the citizens of India or not. It's about where they are producing. They are producing within the territorial boundary of India. That will be included, that value of that final good will be included in the GDP of India. So that's about GDP. So GDP is simply the sum total of the final prices of goods and services. In the exam hall, they may confuse you. GDP includes only price of goods. No, it includes the price of goods and services both. The final value of the price of goods and services. And who publishes the GDP? Who estimates the GDP? National Statistical Office. Okay, don't confuse with the CSO. Okay, it's about like National Statistical Office. Is there any relation between CSO and NSO? What two bodies got merged to form NSO? CSO and NSSO. Okay, NSSO and CSO got merged to form NSO. NSO is under the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. Okay, MOSPI. Okay, so understand that GDP is estimated and published by National Statistical Office. Now, what is NDP? We just deduct depreciation of the products that is created. We reduce the depreciated value and we will be getting the net domestic product. Okay, so that's NDP. Yeah, actually, when we are buying a car and if we are not maintaining it, maybe its wheel, its tire will be getting wear and tear. Okay, so we may need to replace it or we need to maintain it. Okay, so by accounting that depreciation cost in the GDP, we will be getting NDP. Now, GVA. So GVA is nothing but the aggregate of GDP of different individual sectors. We'll be having food industry, we'll be having pharmaceutical industry, we'll be having automobile industry. We will be calculating all the individual products that are manufactured by each of the sectors. We'll be taking the sum of it, then we'll be getting the GDP of the country. Okay, so GVA, aggregation of GVA of individual sectors will be giving the GDP. Okay, so how many cars are produced by a particular automobile company? How many quantity of medicines are produced by a particular pharmaceutical industry? So GVA of that automobile industry may be 10 crore, GVA of that pharmaceutical industry may be 5 crore. So 10 plus 5, 15 crore is the GDP of that country. Okay, similarly, this is the thing. We will be aggregating all the GVA of individual sectors to get the GDP of the country. So it's a method of value addition. For example, we are taking some raw materials, we are that's the input stage, then we are processing it and we are getting the output, factory output. So we will be at then finally we will be reducing, out of the final product we will be taking the value of the we will be taking the difference of the input cost as well. For example, I am using, say, a raw material of rupees 100, okay, for producing a particular chocolate, and the final after processing the final value of the chocolate is, say, 200 rupees. Okay, so but I have already accounted that 100 rupees in this 200 rupees. Okay, the 100 rupees of raw material plus the labor cost and the processing charge and my profit, finally made it 200 rupees at the final output. So out of the final output, 100 rupees is already consumed as the raw material. So in the method of GDP calculation using the value addition method or GVA method, we will be taking the difference of input and output cost, and the net cost will be used for calculating the GDP. So in this method of GDP calculation, we find the input output cost difference to get the value addition. Okay, the cost of the raw material is already accounted in the GDP. Okay, now if you are again adding the value of that raw material in the final value, it will be leading to double counting. Okay, so we have, from the value of the final output, we have to reduce the input cost. Okay, so in the method of GDP calculation using the value addition method or GVA method, we have to take the input output cost difference to get the value addition. Like we have processed the raw material, so that means we have added some value to it and we increased the price. So that value addition should only be used for calculating GDP. So that you should keep in mind, because otherwise it will be leading to double counting. Then what is GNP? There is a thin line of difference between GDP and GNP. Both are the final like output value of goods and services. Only thing is that GNP include the products or services that are created by Indian citizens. Okay, whether they will be residing or producing the same in India, or they will be working in Japan or some other countries. But if the product or service is created by an Indian citizen, that will be included in the GNP. That you know. Okay, then yeah, GDP does not include revenue made by foreign nationals in the country. For example, Mercedes is having a showroom in India. They are having a factory in India and they are producing their car, but that won't be included in the GNP of India, but that will be included in the GDP of India. You're getting the point. Okay, so the location matters in the GDP, and whether they are citizens or not, that matters in the GNP. Now we are moving to banking. Okay, so be very attentive. Okay, because banking is the favorite area of the UPSC. Multiple dimension is there for the questions that are framed. Okay, so they may not be making it very easy, but if you are strong with the basics, that will be like very easy for you. You have to understand one thing: economy is a very simple subject, because if you see the question paper again and again, they are asking from the same topic. Maybe banking, maybe taxation, tax to GDP ratio. I mean, like from the same thing. Okay, from the same thing they are asking some questions. Only thing is that question is not repeating, but the area or the topic repeats. Okay, so revise multiple times the same areas. Okay, you will be getting the questions easily. Okay, out of the 20 questions that are asked by UPSC, at least 16 questions are very easy. Okay, if you are clear with the basics. Now banking, what is a bank? Bank is an institution which collect deposit from people and lend to some other people. Okay, so they will be giving some interest to the people who are depositing their money, or the like people who lends them the money. Then they will be charging interest from the people who is taking this loan from them. Okay, this basically about bank. Why I have like, I know that you guys know this basic thing, but why I have said this again is that now we will be moving to Basel norms and some other advanced areas. Now at all these levels, this basic definition will be sufficient. Okay, bank is an institution who will be collecting deposit from some people and giving them interest. Now the bank will be using the deposit money to give this like money as loan to some people else. Now you just tell me, what is the difference between equity and debt? Is the deposit a equity or debt? Equity or debt? This means, I mean, I'm borrowing some money from you. Okay, I'm an individual banker. Okay, I'm borrowing say 1,000 rupees from you, and I'm like giving you say 2% interest. Okay, now I'm giving this 1,000 rupees to some person and I'm charging from him 5%. Okay, I borrowed that money from you. Okay, so it's a debt. So deposits are debts. Okay, now what is equity? Equity means the ownership. Okay, for a bank to get license, for example, if it is a scheduled bank, Reserve Bank has kept a condition that you should have at least 5 lakh capital. Okay, 5 lakh paid up capital and reserve you should have. Basically, at least minimum 5 lakh you should have to like for you to get the banking license. Now what is this 5 lakh rupees? This is not the deposit because bank has not yet started the operation. This is the equity. Okay, bank when it begins the operation, it will issue the shares. Okay, it will tell people that we are going to start a financial institution. For that we need some basic capital to create our asset. I mean to tell the people that we are having sufficient reserve, we need some money, so we will be giving you our ownership as shares. Now the people will buy these shares, and the money that they are giving the bank, like when they are getting the shares, this money is known as equity. That means ownership. So every bank will be having two kinds of capital. One is debt capital. What is it? It's a deposits, maybe demand deposits or time deposit. These are deposits. Then is the equity capital, which is the ownership capital. So keep that these things in mind. We'll be using it often in the same class itself. Now previously like we had the nationalized banks, but after 1991 when the like government started observing that like nationalized banks are not able to cater the demand for the public. I mean to touch the rural areas, to improve the financial literacy, to improve the financial inclusion and all, like public sector banks are not sufficient. So along with the 1991 economic liberalization, we started giving more license to more private banks. Okay, so the committee which recommended creation of more private banks is the Narasimhan committee. Okay, so you should be aware of the like some very important committees. Okay, when if it is related to poverty estimation, that Lakdawala committee or Tendulkar committee, Rangarajan committee. If it is related to banking, you should know about Nachiket More committee and Narasimhan committee, etc. So liberalization policy of banking, the policy of the government to create more private sector banks, that was recommended by Narasimhan committee, and that process started in 1991.